The world you grow up in no longer exists. The remnants of what was linger in the air, the memories of these streets. Everything has changed. What was is now gone. What remains is twisted, warped, and rotted into something barely even recognizable. Once soft-form lights now flare with aggression. The old arcade has been overtaken by a gym, yet its neon decor lingers despite the corruption. It used to regularly snow in October, and more people would go out then than they do now for Halloween. The old drive-in swap meet theater has been replaced by apartments. The old Cinedome that sat up top the hill has been swallowed by the expansion of a car lot. The old performance theater still lingers. One winter on a dare, David lost his shoe climbing up the massive pile of snow in the parking lot. Which wasn't good, because his t-shirt, pants, and now only shoe were already littered with holes. He didn't have much, less than we did. Most of the kids bailed as he began freaking out, and in a frozen panic he ran inside. The men let us warm up by the fire, gave us candy, and then drove us all home, while I sat panicked in the back seat with 911 preemptively dialed on my phone because taking candy from strangers and getting in their car was the exact opposite of what I've always been taught to do. Perhaps it's good karma, they're the only ones left. The drive-in always underpaid my mom, but the free tickets always made her feel like it was worth working there. I suppose trying to recapture some sense of a time gone, craving a night of Nintendo and cheap pizza, I entered a Little Caesars. The man at the counter speaks in a thick African accent. He barely even understands your order. After much explaining, you walk out having spent $50, not $5, because the hot and ready isn't even available. The streets are now soaked with sludge. You wait outside in a dark corner, and it's the only beauty to be found in this desolate place. Like a distant memory, you recall it like a dream through fog and ripples. You recall the time you fell on the swing set, caught in the chains, they flayed the skin off your finger. You felt faint the way you do now. Recollection is glamorous. The things you remember are not always as good as we make them out to be, but you were hopeful. Things could become better. People could be saved. The rot could be cleansed. The fog could dissipate. But it continues to spread. You felt this faint dream as you do now with a weak memory of what was. You keep trying to come back to these memories. You're haunted by these ghosts and you wake up screaming. Once again. Nightmares of what once was. This repetitive nightmare feels like the side quests. The only thing making it somewhat worthwhile is seeing fascinating things that do stick with you despite the horrors. This rot keeps spreading, growing. The black plague mimicking mold over a once clean ceramic, and this is where I stopped playing the side quests. I don't want to be in this repetitive, worthless nightmare anymore. But the terrors keep returning, and I can't get away. With a sore throat, I feel isolated. Every stranger feels like these monsters you try your best to avoid. I want to avoid. Out of fear of losing even more time than I've already wasted, and shouldn't I know things are moving faster than what I'm able to keep up with? Avoid. Because everything is a sponge that soaks up what is more than reasonable, like trying to do something in a dream, but it just won't work out the way it should. Why won't it work out the way that it should? I wake up in my sweat with a sore throat, and I avoid sleep to minimize my time with these monsters that I avoid because the hardest difficulty is locked in. You can't go anywhere. You're trapped. Sometimes things get a little better. Like when you finally figure out pulling out these cores does have a benefit. Nothing creative, only a damage boost. But thank God, it makes the tedium more bearable. Like having a strange dream instead of a horrific one. I avoid. And my favorite part, you lose these annoying powers. You quietly sulk in the shadows, trying your best to avoid them. I was hopeful this would become somewhat repetitive, follow the pattern of the rest of the game, but it only happened once more. You can't even feel safe on a walk at night without a gun, because without one the fight would be too tedious for you to endure. Dangerous creatures lurk here. They taught you about dare for a reason. Apparently some didn't think the message serious enough to listen. These creatures are more scary than you. You're just leveling the playing field. Because you no longer have imaginative powers, you live in the real world. The real world where you played Ghostwire Tokyo on an Xbox, not a Nintendo. The soup simmers and the pig's foot floats. Its flesh peels back to reveal something uncomfortably recognizable. I'm fascinated and curious and uncomfortable. Apparently I make people uncomfortable. I look inside the pig's foot, look at my own hand. I see the same bony digits. How similar we are. Swine is an insult because we are completely different while being eerily similar. Almost as if each time you behave wrong, you become more like the pig. Its flesh melted away, revealing it has the same bones that are inside my hand. It startled me. It had fingers underneath. Fingers inside its hooves. And it startled me. Uncomfortable. Because I am constantly reminded of these similarities. Similarities like Resident Evil, the vibe, these unnecessary extras, the gumball machines that loudly crank out useless garbage to waste my time. Scavenging supplies, but this isn't some rotting house or desolate town. This is a recently bustling city where supplies are aplenty. These bracelets like RE4's keychains. These meaningless outfits. This one's kind of funny though. But in Resident Evil it feels earned. They've established themselves and now adding cute little extras as they shift from horror to action horror feels a bit more justified. Because Ghostwire Tokyo also didn't want to make a horror game. Just a spooky game that looked like a horror game. This old outdated technology, every time I run out of ammo, I think of the of Jill Valentine's gun, and my anxiety finally fully boils over, but here in Tokyo, I'm left annoyed. I can so easily get my ammo, or I guess energy, back so easily. I'm confused why it's so limited in the first place. I wish this game gave me my energy back in real life. Leaping, building to building, doing trivial repetitive tasks with a bad story to haphazardly glue it all together. Even switching the jump button to the bumper, despite it causing some unforeseen control issues in navigating the power wheel. Jump changes, but select doesn't, bending my hands along the controller in strange ways, but I didn't mind the change in controls. It felt more natural leaving jump in this unnatural spot. And I see the flesh pull back to reveal Dying Light. But despite its shortcomings, I loved to play Dying Light. I was fond of what I was doing, so I was fond of the repetition. I thought a lot about both games while I sat there lifelessly playing this one, but with the bones undressed, sitting in the open. I saw another similarity, like a faint memory through the fog, but still confused on where it was coming from. The only thing that could make you happy in the midst of this confusion was the clack of old technology that has no relevance in today's time. You want to recapture this naive hope, but it too no longer exists. I think back on all this old tech, these shells of something that once sparked with so much life is now just a hollow shell. The typewriter no longer clacks, only sits there next to the sheep's brain in a house once so beautiful it too now covered in unknown rotting horrors. Hints of the future, warnings of the touchpad takeover. I can't help but miss all these buttons, all these gimmicks. The gimmicks were rarely as good as the fond memories made them out to be, but we dreamt of what could be, not realizing we would be left with what we have now. They never had the time. Desire for more time to make things better. The tech to move faster than our ideas. The way my thoughts outpace the pen as it scrawls along the pages. I want to feel this way. I collect ghosts while I collect coins. So I can collect ghosts. So I can dig in the trash. So I can get coins. So I can spend the coins to collect more ghosts, so I can pet the dog, so that I can find more coins, so I can collect more ghosts, so I can cleanse another Tory gate, so I can dig in the trash, so I can collect more ghosts, so I can have more coins, so I can buy more doggy chow. I love doggy chow. So I can pet more dogs, so I can find more coins, so I can get more spirit paper, so I can collect more ghosts, so I can pet more dogs, so I can get more coins, so I can collect more ghosts. The movement of the analog stick feels like the ghosts of the stylus. The stylus that I wish I could actually pet the dog with. This tedium. This mind-numbing tedium, this could be circumvented with a bit more engagement. I think back on what was, what no longer exists. Now I'm left in a world where I press X and I do not feel anything. I could see myself being absorbed, amazed, if only I could play this with the stylus. The combat is no different. I press these buttons and I don't care. I want to sling this magic. I want to feel something interesting. I pet this dog and I don't care. I'm not petting the dog. This is a waste. That does nothing. I want something, and I can tell, as did the people who made it, but that world no longer exists. Something to give the illusion I'm doing something. How I felt when I was young. I wanted a dog so bad, but we couldn't have one at the time. I would obsessively play Nintendogs for hours and hours. This digital illusion made me feel better about what was absent. I want to buy into this illusion. A little gimmick to make things more lighthearted. A little more fun. Ghostwire is in love with its country, with its city. There's nothing wrong with that. I like my country. And from my skewed Western gal perspective about a country I've never been to and never want to go, not only do tsunamis frighten me, Japan, or I guess technically Tokyo, seems overwhelming. All of this Asian talk makes me wish I could afford to get my nails done. But this is something I like about art games. It gives this glimpse into a world I'd rather not visit. Seeing this replicated slice of Tokyo, capturing its vibe, its beauty, getting lost in the rain under beautiful structures. I get it. I see why people would want the real life experience of this. It really is something. Something I personally don't need to see in person, because it also captures its grime. It's busy, bathed in neon. It's cramped. The size of apartments give me anxiety. This gambling room is crowded, even when it's empty. Maybe some find the busyness comforting, but not I. This takes my mind to bad places. It's too much like Las Vegas. Too much like Cyberpunk. To no fault of Ghostwire Tokyo, I played this right off the heels of finishing Cyberpunk. The similarities of the edgy boy stuck in your head wanting to take control of your body for his own agenda horridly stood out. However, this time the charismatic edgelord rocker boy is a wannabe badass. If K-pop got lost in a hot topic, uh-oh, I'm gonna have another low empathy moment. But I hated the story. I hated the characters. I do not care about what's the name of the guy you play as. I did not care about him. I did not care about his sister. I do not care about his sad family drama backstory. I do not care about KK. I don't care about his family either. I don't care about his friend that's in 2 scenes and then dies. Idiot. I don't care about this mall rat villain or his wannabe popular troupe. I thought the writing was bad. I thought I didn't like anything about it. The cutscenes were stupid. It's trying for forced seriousness and isn't done well, and it's out of place. It's also a little cornball, but it's bad at that too. It can be good not to take everything too serious, which is what I did in chapter 3 after I realized, oh god, there's going to be 6 chapters. I'm not even halfway finished. And so I put the sushi costume on. Sushi! And you know what? Sushi! It made me enjoy it a little bit more. It really was funny. Except for the high polished cutscenes that remove whatever outfit you're wearing. Why did they do this? Why did they waste time and the money? Imagining this dork glide around buildings, slurping up ghosts in his dumb sushi costume was a funny thing to imagine. It made me enjoy the game, even if just a little bit more. I love to hate. It can be motivating. Ghostwire Tokyo is hard to fully hate, despite the annoying combat. Literally annoying. The bad story with its bad attempts at being deep and heartfelt, the repetitive, meaningless nonsense I had to continue to do. There is something about this. I even at times found myself enjoying the repetition. Not often well-mannered, mind you. A lot of my enjoyment in the repetition was how ridiculously bad and meaningless it was. It has an interesting creative style to it. Many of the aspects are very rememberable. Just like how I remember I was really excited when this charismatic little Asian got on stage and spoke with so much energy and passion about this spooky game they were creating. Then it released silently and I hadn't heard about it in forever, till it finally came to Games Pass. Maybe I would have enjoyed it more had I played it on a PlayStation with a touchpad, but I didn't even know PlayStation had a touchpad until after finishing the game. Because I don't walk into a store and chat about a game with a clerk before buying or renting it. I scroll on the digital shelf because I can't afford to buy all of these games, but I can afford $20 a month because the world I grew up in no longer exists. I wish I could say that this is some underrated gem, but it's not. But I do get why it has a small cult following of people who love it. It feels like someone's weirdness was passionately poured all over it. All these old phones lying around remind me of a time the internet was for things like that, for people like this. Those who were just strange, unpolished, faults and all, they were authentically themselves. This digital language was how we communicated. Ghostwire Tokyo is itself, so authentically itself that even when it feels like someone, Western politics, tried to turn it into something else, something it isn't, its true nature still shines through. I love that about it. But much like the time I flayed my finger on the swing set, I never want to experience this again. I did not enjoy my time, my experience with this game. I did not enjoy playing it. I do not like this game. But much like the swing set, even if the memory is foggy, I don't think I will ever forget or stop thinking about Ghostwire Tokyo.